Hi, this is Frank Hill, and I'd like to introduce you to a beginning project for Visual Basic. We're going to use Visual Studio 2015, and it's going to be a very simple project. It will simply allow you to press a button and have a message displayed on the screen. Um, let's get started. We begin our Hello World project by first going over and opening up Visual Studio. And we're going to use Visual Studio 2015. And the first thing that we want to do is go and click on File. And then we're going to click on New and Project. And we want to pick a Visual Basic project. And we want it to be a Windows classic application. We want it to be Windows Forms. And now we're going to pick a name for our application, and we'll call it My First VB. And then click OK. And it takes a little while for the system to build it. But now it's built. Now we have our first form shown on the screen. And we're going to want to resize it a little bit. This is a Windows Form application, and you'll be able to run it on any Windows PC. And so here's our form. This looks like it'll be big enough. Now we have our form, and we want to add some user interface widgets to the screen that will allow us to control our application. So go up to Toolbox, and it's turning a little bit. We're going to add some, well, a couple of labels for our application. We'll put them anywhere right now. We'll rearrange them once we get them on the screen. We need a text box. These items are in alphabetical order, so text is T box, text is T, and we have our text box. And finally, we need a button. Okay, the button is on the screen, the text box, and our two labels. And now I'm going to rearrange them. This label will be served as a title, so I'm going to put that near the top. And this label will describe what the text box does. I'll put it right here. And the button will trigger the action. So maybe I'll center that too. The next thing I want to do is set the properties of all of the components that are on the screen. So I'll start with label 2, and I want to look at the properties. I want to click on A to Z here so that each of the properties will be in alphabetical order. Makes it easier to find things. First thing is the name, which I want to give a different name because within the code I'll need to identify this label or by this component by what it does. So I'm going to call it LBL for label, and I will type in HELLO shift, which also tells the function, says that it's a title. Now I'm also going to want to change the text. So I'll click over here and that becomes set. Okay, next we want to go down and make sure they're alphabetical order. And then we go down to the text. Like right now within the text it shows label 2. We want our text to be Hello World Project, HELLO. And so that's done. Now the other thing is kind of small, so I want to change the font. And let's expand the font. And the font size, which is here. And let's try 16. Click over here. I think I want to make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it 18. Let's make it 18. And maybe we want to make it bold. So we'll click on bold and we'll say true. And it looks pretty good. All right, let's leave that for now. Let's go to the next label, which describes the text box function here. And first thing I'll do is I'll change the font, and I'll make that 14. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And let's click it. It's 14. We want to change the text. And we're going to call this LBL for label and LBL message. which is good. And we might as well change the, let's just see what it looks like first. No, changed the wrong thing. Let's go up to undo, and we're back. And we want the text to be message display. Because it describes what's going to be in this message box. And we also need to change its name. To, let's say, LBL. And again, this is so it will be recognized by the code in the program. So we have the name changed. And I think I want to move it over a little bit. Center it over the text box. Now let's change the text box. And since it's a text box, we want it to be TXT and we don't want to change the content of the text box at all. However, I do think it should be a little bigger, maybe a lot bigger. So I can drag the handle and then I'll put it back into position. Okay, lastly, we want to go ahead and change the button. First of all, the name should be BTN, which says what it does. And we'll say BTN message. That's the name. And now we also want to change the text. And here the text is button 1. And I'm going to change it to display message. I'm going to have to make it a little bit bigger. I'm also going to want to change the size of that text. So we have font. It's exploded. And size. I think we'll make this 14 also. Make it a little bit bigger. Now we have our user interface on the screen, and we have everything as far as the user's presentation. And I'm going to do a few tweaks here, and then I'll go ahead and add the code. So let's go over the project first. And again, I want it in alphabetical order. And I think I want to italicize the font. So this is italics. Click right here. Now make it true. And Maybe I want to make it a little bit bigger. 20. And let's center it. And maybe I want to change the color of the button. So let's go to background color. And I want to make it light blue. Okay. Okay, I think I want to go ahead and add my one line of code for this application. And I'm going to do this by clicking on the button here. And see, it opens me up into a template for code. And this sub this starts it, and the end sub says that's the end of my code. Now I'm going to start typing here, and I'll start with just txt, which was the beginning of my text box. Once I type the txt, you'll notice that the name of that box automatically appears. It's very helpful for coding. And then I'm going to make an assignment, and the equal is what's called okay, I know I need to do something else. There is a portion of it, of that message box, called txt. And see, it drops down. And I want to do an assignment. And then in quotes, I'll put my message. And my message will be my Frank first, which says when the button is clicked, this message will be printed. So let's go back to the form, and then we're going to put the application into debug mode, which I'll go up here and click on debug, and I'll click start debugging. And it's going to be checked to see if I have any errors in code. And if everything works okay, the application will pop up. And there it is. So now I'm going to click on the message and say display message. And in the box, it says, my name is Frank Hill, and this is my first project. Okay, that's kind of good, but I think I want to make that message a little bit bigger. So I'm going to close it. So let's change the text that goes in this box from 8.5 to 12. That will make it a little bit more readable. I also want to change the name of the form here. It just says Form 1. And we're going to make that 10. And I want to change the label from Form 1 to something more descriptive, which will be my first PB APP. And let's see what it looks like. Okay, so that didn't work. So let's cancel it. And let's try it again. See how that works. This is the code seen in the, this is the name seen in the code. So I will say FRM. Now let's go and look for actual form name. We'll call that with spaces. And watch for the change in the text. And there it is. And we're done with this particular application. If you like, you can go ahead and you can customize anything that's here, like the background for the display or the form. You can change it to a different color. You can change the text for the button to a different color. You can change to different font sizes, and it's all done over here in the properties. So experiment for a little while, and then we'll move on to the next project.